start by saying all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Harakah Kadash. God want us, the elder apostles, the great most honorable world, Shalom, to the hopeful elect, to the brothers out there doing this work, sharing truth, pushing this word to the full corner, Shalom. Out here once again, I every week to prophesy the downfall of, this current rulership, the downfall of this current world, and basically, who the world was Jesus Christ, who's known as Yahweh Shai, going back to the ancient Hebrew. He's getting ready to make his place, his name known, and to make a return on the earth. And a lot of current events that we have going down, these things are signs of the times to let us know that return is soon to come. And the key prophecies we always go to, the unpardonable RFID, Michael see him. We're talking about World War III kicking off, and the time of Jacob's trouble. And all these things, throughout the course of the week, we see build up happening towards these events. As far as for World War III, we've had kick off, not last week, the week before, Iran basically getting hit by the state of Israel, and that's pushed the conflict in the Middle East to a new place where it's not been before. You've had, prior strikes done on like Iranian soldiers or generals or maybe their installations in other countries, or the troops set up in other countries, but on their land, you've not had that before in the same scale, and it coming from the state of Israel as well. It wasn't like Americans doing it here, and that's building up that conflict yet again, and it's already got expanded with Lebanon getting here, and these things are the reason everyone says World War III is because of the alliances with these different nations. These different nations all have alliances with different countries. Then they can easily draw them into a bigger conflict, and that'll be something that everyone always says, going back to World War I, World War II, the actual conflict wasn't recognized on the scale it was until after the fact. Now you'll have like the years of 1914 to 1918 or whatever set years. In the midst of it, they didn't just say like, okay, this is the first thing that happened. This is now it's the Great War, or now it's World War II. That was something that was classified in retrospect. So that's why the things that we see happening now, you'll have articles. There's an article I read early in the week where it said, World War III is already started. Because why? You already have those big two sides with different sets of allies conflicting against each other, and where in prior times it was proxy wars, it's still proxy wars now. If you talk about the post-World War II era, it was more proxy wars, but now you have it where it's something that's happening with the actual countries involved, and Ukraine and Russia is the big one. That's the one everyone's kind of looking at, and then it's the same thing that comes up whenever Iran's discussed, or North Korea, or even China, is nukes, nuclear weapons, nuclear armaments. That's the thing that has people on edge. That's really what makes World War III of a different scale. Because during World War II ended with the atomic bomb, but it wasn't like it was something in the midst during the entire conflict. It was something that basically came to fruition and basically was used to end one side of the war. But once you have Russia involved in these wars, you have various different countries. Now it's you go back to even the years after World War II, there were very few countries that had access to to nuclear capabilities. Now you've got every Tom and Dick and Harry has it. That's why it says in the scriptures what? Let the weak say I am strong. I'll grab some. So Matthew 24:3 says, and as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming, and of the end of the world? And yeah, that's those two things go hand in hand. The return of Yahushua, the end of this current world, this current rulership. And Yahushua answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am the anointed, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. So wars and rumors of wars is part and parcel to understanding the times we're in the midst of. Times we're in the midst of. And that's something that's become normalized, and people might just say, oh, 100 years ago, there was wars and rumors of wars. 70 years ago, there's wars and rumors of wars. But there was more that lined up with it as well. There's a multitude of prophecies, and like I said, World War III is just one of them. The time of Jacob's trouble, that's another one. And then the key one is what? The implantable RFID micro sealer. That's a key aspect. And that's something that, until very recently, wasn't really known of or spoke of. It's really in like the 80s and onwards where that's more become a concept. Because even prior to, you never even have technology at the level where it would be implantable into a human being until recently. You had it as a concept in like science fiction books, and then later on when you had movies, because even one of the early Hollywood like greatest movies is Metropolis, which Metropolis is meant to be, a look into the future of where technology could go, and it came out in like 1927, which is long before like technology was on that scale. And then you have similar things done with like 1984, where they're looking at that was done 1949, so just after World War II had ended, and it was basically looking forward in how society could change, and what the power of the government could do, to people's freedoms and the way they understand the world. So these things were looked forward, but now we're in a time where those things are being actualized. It's something where technology is being put together, where they can jam wires in your brain, then you can move a mouse around on a computer screen. These are things that, you go back to movies, because in movies now we're seeing it come to life. And then, what is desired to be done with that technology, that's the key thing. People are looking at like, oh, it's just going to be, people, helping people that might have issues with their limbs or body or movement. But that's the first layer to it. All technology have like when it's being researched and developed, R&D, research and development, but then over time they're looking to make a product out of it, something to monetize, something to use, something practical. And that's where you have the technology going. I'll read this. Revelation 8 and 13. And I beheld and I heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, Woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth, by reason of the other voice of the trumpets, of the voices of the trumpet of the three angels which are yet to sound. So woe, woe, woe. And those woes are talking about destruction, and that's talking about the three world wars that are going to take place. And we've already seen the first and second, and now we're in the midst, and it's developing the third. And that's just one aspect. You also have the micro seer, the mark, that corrupt mark, that's basically being pushed as well. The big, what's the word, marketable commercial side of it is with Neuralink, where you had what's his name, Elon Musk do a showcase maybe like 2 weeks ago now, where it was like a Tesla showcase, was going into showing off like the Tesla robot, the self-driving cars and whatnot. And even last week as well, I think we had a successful SpaceX launch and landing. So with Elon Musk, he's trying to build that mystique around where technology is going to take them. And that's a big a big draw of why people are invested within this technology, within the current system. Revelation 13:3, it says, and I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. So that's the Roman Empire. It had the deadly wound. There was that time where it was it was shut up and sealed. But then what? You had the time of the Renaissance where the wound was healed. Then you had the bringing, Esau, the so-called white man, coming back into prominence and power over the earth. And then what? It said the whole world wondered after the beast. Just as with ancient Rome, where everyone was enticed, everyone was drawn into it. Now you have it with the new Rome, where America's basically got that draw, that feel, that mystique to it, to where everyone kind of is enticed by it. It says what? And they worship the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worship the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast, who is able to make war with him? And that's really the mindset. Everyone's looking at it like, who's able to make war with the beast? Who's able to deal with America? They're in a level of height of prominence, dominance over the earth, to where people don't even think there could be a military contender. This despite having, them having in their past lost prior conflicts, and then even then with the way people look at now is their military development, military technology. But then there's wars where they've had the dominance and still not come away with a victory. But ultimately it comes down to the spirit of Yahweh Hashem, Yahshua, Hashem, Barakah, Kadash. That's really what will decide. So read this. Proverbs 16:4, the Lord Yahweh hath made all things for himself, yea, even the wicked for the day of evil. So yeah, everything's been made for himself and for a purpose. And what say, the wicked was made for the day of evil. And the wicked is talking about, the border of wickedness. Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, he was made with a purpose. He was basically set to have his level of prominence right now at the tail end, where he would be in power, he would have to rule, and then he'll be able to run rampant. He's able to indulge in, completely within his spirit, which isn't upright, and to establish a society built around that. And then, that being pushed to the extreme is what within that mark, that corruption. Basically trying to, mark people all as, as his, like as his possession. But then, where's that going to go to? So Revelation 20, I start from 1, it says, and I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. So yeah, that was 1,000 years that Esau was bound, within, the mountain ranges of Georgia, Russia, man. He was basically sealed and put back into his base state. And then, what does it say? In passing into the bottomless pit and shut him up and set a seal upon him, they should deceive the nations no more till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. And after that, he must be loosed a little season. So yeah, it was his job in prior times was what? To deceive the nations. Then afterwards, after he gets unsealed, the same role that he played before, he now has to play out. And that's what we're in the midst of. This is why the nations have been deceived. That's why everything's been turned up on its head. And, why now you have, the basis of Ben, he's being put in power, everyone reverencing and following after his way of life, how he conducts himself, emulating it, not knowing that that's a way of life that leads to destruction. You have various countries around the world where they're now having issues with birth rate, and all of these are meant to be the so-called advanced first world, forward-looking economies. But why is it something as simple as having children so you can maintain your nation even existing is like completely out the window? That's not happening. But that feeds into the nature of Esau. He gives us death. So I'll go back to Matthew 24. So Matthew 24 and 6, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines, and pestilences, and earthquakes in diverse places. So there's going to be a myriad of different forms of destruction coming in. And it's not just the wars, it's other things happening as well. And that's all, these all coming together is what marks what? The return of Yahweh Shai. Because that's the thing that, is basically not seen, not looked for people in the world. And that's why it's the things that we are pointing out, they seem obvious to us. But then we've had our eyes open. We've been given ears to hear. The people in the world, they don't have the ears to hear. It's something where, you present facts, then you might go into the news and say, well, this lines up with what the scriptures are saying. But people aren't, they're going to fan the hand. 2 Peter 3 verse 3 says, knowing this first, that there shall come in the last days scoffers looking after their own lusts, and saying, where is the promise of his coming? But since the fathers fell asleep, all things continue as they were from the beginning of the creation. And yeah, that's a big aspect of being in this truth, is people scoffing at it, basically holding it in no regard. Because they're looking for, they're looking for a sign. They're looking for something they can cling on to. But now we're dealing with something that's based off faith. There's something that, it's based off the gift of faith and understanding through that. And then what? The Holy Spirit working with you to even understand the scriptures. Because, the things we're talking about is really plain. It's really straightforward. People say like, you can interpret any way you want to make it, apply to your life. But that's the thing is there's going to be that correct interpretation. And regardless that, within life, there's things going down to where you can kind of look at it and see like, what does this mean? Where is it going? But the kind of core aspect is that they're carnal. They're not looking at things with a spiritual eye. They're not looking at things like there's spiritual aspects to it, binding all together. The way they see it is just carnal means. They'll just think, well, the reason why a conflict is happening is because of, monetary interests or sciences or some form of, they think there's a tangible kind of rational way they could put these things together. But then there's a spiritual aspect that overpowers all that part to it, to where then it's like if you can't accept or acknowledge that, then you're not going to be able to understand. It's going to seem, just like we're behaving on instinct or something. We're not looking at reality. Because what to say, all things continue as they were from the beginning of the creation. But this they willingly are ignorant of, that by the word of the Most High, the heavens were of old, and the earth standing out of the water and in the water, whereby the world that then was, being overflowed with water, perished. And yeah, that's when you come to now, the second death, the second destruction, is going to be by fire. There's a prior lesson we looked to where it happened by water, where the world was flooded. And people will know, they may Hollywood flicks. There was, you know, the prior one they made with Russell Crowe was an abomination, but it's a story that's told not just within the scriptures, but it's kind of permeated into society. The flood and Noah. But then, you know, the lesson aspect of it, it's given no weight. And I'll read this. 2 Ezra 16. Okay. At 19 it says, behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. But for all these things they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. And that's really why, you know, the lesson's known of, but then it has no weight or no value, because it's not given a mind as something that's given for correction or a lesson to look to kind of be like, oh, there was a particular kind of conduct that went down that led to them being destroyed. You know, are we participating in the same conduct? And then you can see, you know, what was leading up to, led up to the destruction in the time of Noah. So I even touched this as well. In Matthew 24, I'll skip down to verse 37. It says, but as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and knew not until the flood came and took them all away. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Yeah, that's really the mindset people are in. They're caught up in the vanity of life, the pleasure of living. They're thinking about their next holiday. They're thinking about, you know, work promotions. They're thinking about, you know, their relationships. They might have kids. They might think, oh, I want to, you know, make sure I can do X, Y, Z for my kid. They're caught up in the throes of just living life. But then, you know, just beyond just living life, there's more that goes on. You know, people will be aware when it's like some kind of political insurrection or something takes place, because, you know, in the midst of that, then they can get put to death. But then when it comes to, you know, things happening on a spiritual level, where the Lord might be like, okay, I'm going to send a famine, or I'm going to have, you know, a certain plague go through, or have, you know, a certain form of destruction take place, like the floods in Spain, a good example to go to. When that happened, people are just looking like, oh, you know, it's terrible. They're thinking like, oh, what can we do to help out? How people are going to put their lives together? But they're not thinking like, oh, is there a spiritual component to this? Did we upset, you know, the Heavenly Father? That's the last thing that comes to mind. It's the same thing with Noah, and it's the same thing that's going down now. So it's going to have the same result, where, you know, the judgment came through, and then that had to just wipe people out. And that's the same thing that's getting ready to happen now. Another set of judgment is getting ready to take place. So back in 2 Peter 3, I read verse 6 again. It says, whereby the world that then was, being overflowed with water, perished. But the heavens and the earth which are now, by the same word, are kept in store, reserved unto fire. And yeah, this current world now, just as, well, I say just as, you had a promise after the flood that there wouldn't be a flooding of the world again. And whilst you've had, like, you know, like I said, you go to Spain as an example, you have floods happen, you have, you know, judgments take place, but then it's not the whole world being flooded to where everyone's being wiped out. Now you have it being done with fire, and then even with the fire, it's not going to be everyone on earth who's going to get cooked. It's mainly going to be localized to North America, but then, you know, there will be other spots as well, because it's going to be done by thermonuclear destruction by ICBMs. Then you're going to have other places hit as well. But it's basically come in a different form. The thing is people have, you know, a fear, a terror of nuclear weapons. During you go back into the time, what was it, the Bay of Pigs incident, where it was the Cuban Missile Crisis. There was, you know, people thinking like, oh shit, is it the end of the world? Because why? They're thinking once them nukes start flying, like the whole aspect of why they weren't using nukes weren't using conflicts was if one side shoots before it can wipe out or land on the other side, as soon as it can be detected, then what do you call it? They're also going to be able to respond, and then both sides are going to get wiped out, mutually assured destruction. But now we have what, hypersonic missiles, where they move at a speed that's far beyond, traditional ICBMs. Where they're able to, leave the atmosphere. Actually, I'm not 100% sure if they leave the atmosphere completely. I think that's part of what makes them faster as well, is that they don't have to fully leave the atmosphere. But they're able to strike at a far higher speed. And that's something that, Russia has in their hands. But, it's not as globally obtained as regular ICBMs. So with, that fire, that's how the second judgment is going to take place. And, people haven't quite tied it to, whose responsibility that is. And that's really where the confusion comes in. Because when judgments take place, the whole point of it is meant to be for correction. But, you had ancient Israel where they didn't want to receive correction, and now where they're not even thinking there is a power that has the right to correct. They're just happy living their life. That's why it's going to be a shock, a surprise. It says what? But the heavens and earth which are now by the same word are kept in store, reserved unto fire against the day of judgment and perdition of ungodly men. But beloved, be not ignorant of this one thing. The one day is with the Lord as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as one day. The Lord is not slack concerning his promise. And yeah, that's an aspect to keep in mind when it comes to the time frame. People look at, time passing as far as us, 50 years, that could be all the time in the world. You can go from being a newborn to, to having pain in your joints, losing your hair turning gray, and basically being up in age. That's a long stretch of time. But when you deal with a Heavenly Father, then 1,000 years is as one day. 1,000 years, we can't even make it through. We can barely touch on a tenth of that. Through reason of strength. But then even with that, that would just be as one day. So even going back to the time when Yahweh was on the scene, it's 2 days and a bit of change. So that's really why the time frame people look at things and be like, why is it not happening? And it goes back to further up in the verse, saying, what was it? That there's basically been no sign of his coming. So what does it say? The Lord is not slack concerning his promise, as some men count slackness, but is long suffering to usward, not willing that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance. And yeah, that's the key part. It's basically for the sake of the elect, because whilst if it would be beautiful for all Israel to come to come into their right mind, but really it's only going to be for the elect. This judgment's not going to happen as it did in the time of Egypt, where the whole nation was brought out. Now it's only going to be that small that little sanctuary, that small group of Israelites, those of the elect. They're the ones who are basically going to get saved out of the midst of it. It says verse 10, the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in which the heavens shall pass away with great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also, and the works that are therein, shall be burned up. And yeah, that's how it's going to come together. It's going to be by fire, and it's going to be used as a cleansing agent, because you have the main culprit, just as it was back in the time of Noah, is what? Wickedness. It's permeated all throughout the earth. Wickedness become normalized. It's become like breathing and drinking water to people on the planet Earth. That's why it's things that go back to the ancient world where it would be a sin unto death. Things in the ancient world where it would be a sin unto death are now done as a normal sin. You have things where adultery is always the go-to one, where that's become something that can just be used as a form of entertainment. That might just spice up like a storyline to make it a bit more enticing, to catch attention. But otherwise, there's no form of judgment to it. Nahum 1 and 3, the Lord Yahweh is slow to anger and great in power, and will not at all acquit the wicked. The Lord Yahweh, his way in the whirlwind and in the storm, the clouds are the dust of his feet. Yeah, the Lord is slow to anger, but will not at all acquit the wicked. That's really how it is with these judgments. People look at it as, because they're living their life and they're being prolonged within their wickedness, they think it's a normal thing. They don't see that when any form of correction comes, they just pass it off. But the reality of it is, Ecclesiastes 8 and 11, because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil. And that's something that's been set for the longest. And then even with Israel as well, they partake in it as well. They learn wickedness, and then they're outdoing the heathen, they're outdoing the wicked at their own wickedness. They're basically taking that on as part of their identity. And those that can't repent or won't repent, they're then going to be judged alongside the heathen as well. They're going to have to be cleansed. They're going to have to be taken out. That's why. As far as you're not going to be able to make it into the kingdom in that same wicked state you're in. That's really what this judgment is about. It's wickedness hitting a height and then a judgment being applied onto it. It says, though a sinner do evil 100 times, and his day be prolonged, yet surely I know that it shall be well with them that fear the Most High, which fear before him. Yeah, because even if it seems like they're being prolonged, and that's the thing is you have in this current world the measures of success or having a good life or living well. Those things are tied within monetary success, fame, being able to live a certain kind of lifestyle, but then those things don't even line up with any righteousness in any way. The measure, righteousness is a concept that doesn't really matter in the current world. But then that's really why you're not meant to envy the oppressor. But because those are the things that people in their minds put, they tie righteousness to what? Success in the world, living a certain kind of lifestyle. They think, oh, that's what I should aspire to. Most people when they're young, they'll have a dream of some kind of career or lifestyle, where they might be able to enjoy all the worldly pleasures. But enjoying worldly pleasures, that's not really, that's not conducive to living righteously. And that's really what the wickedness. That's why wickedness is normal. They don't really have a measure or judge against it. It shall not, verse 13, but it shall not be well with the wicked, neither shall he prolong his days, which are as a shadow, because he feareth not before the Most High. And that's the core aspect, the fear of the Most High. That's really the binding kind of adhesive, you know, on being able to live a good life. Is fear of the Lord. Because you might, have money, wealth, success, but then you have ailments, you have issues with, your family. You might have your son doing some form of madness, your daughter doing a form of madness. You might have a brother or an uncle or a cousin, trying to do you harm or bring, trying to destroy you or bring negativity into your life, and then you'll be kind of understanding like why. And the thing is as well is a big lie of society is that money, wealth, fame, those things lead to happiness. But then why is it that people, even though they have those things, they're taking themselves out? It's because that's a lie. That's a form of deceit. People have been hoodwinked. That's really why judgment needs to take place. Because people aren't even aware of what good and evil are. Those things now people will say, oh, good is what's subjective, or you have a lot of aspects in like movies, TV shows, and whatnot, is being like, oh, the bad guy was actually, the reason they did evil is because someone wronged them in their life earlier. All these concepts now. That idea of righteousness, that's been completely, thrown in the bin. I'll read this. 2nd Ezra 9:1 said, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then shalt thou understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. And yeah, measure the time diligently, and when thou seest part of the signs past. So you're meant to be watching, circumspect, and looking around at what's going down. And then when you see it, the signs come to pass, then oh, this is why. And that's the thing is even, where the prophets were speaking before, and we're basically highlighting what's to come. But then there's even people in the world where they might be a Christian, and even they can see, oh, there's things coming together. Especially when it comes to the MOTB. That's something that people in the world are even more, turned up to, because it's so evident. And and that's the thing is, it's been taught for decades, by the apostles and on down, to where, now it's really permeating, because we're seeing it be fulfilled. And there's various other things as they've been fulfilled. Now people are aware, wait, maybe there's something to this. Maybe there's something significant. And then in general, that's why you have a lot of sentiment around World War III, sentiment around, the MOTB. Because what does it say? But like as all that is made, verse 5, for like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest, even so the times also of the highest have plain beginnings in wonder and powerful works, and endings in effects and signs. And yeah, that's what we see. Plain beginnings, where it might have seemed like, well, that's one of the signs, but there doesn't really seem like there's more to it. To where now it's coming together on a level where you have, it's being spoken about on mainstream news. There was a point in time where people talk about World War III, people think like, nah, there's no way in hell that's happening. But then what's the reality of how it's taken place? Especially since, Since the Iranian nuclear program started. That was a huge push that drew everyone in, and was like, okay, the war in Syria as well. That was another big moment. Syria was big allies with what? Russia and Iran. And then Russia and Iran are like key focal points of World War III kicking off. And then against them is what? The US and the state of Israel. And really since a decade ago, maybe a bit more, you've kind of had those slow scuffles building to where now it's plainly being observed that something big is in the works. It affects and signs. So verse 7. And everyone that shall be saved and shall be able to escape by his works and by faith, whereby ye have believed, shall be preserved from the said perils, and shall see my salvation in my land and within my borders. For I have sanctified them for me from the beginning. And yeah, that's a key aspect. Those of the elect, they're going to be preserved from the said perils. They need, a shield, a covering from these things to come. Everyone out in the world, when you deal with the other aspect, the hour of temptation, that's something that's sent out to everyone in the whole world. Everyone's going to be tried. And then because everyone's going to be tried, it's the same thing that, the elect, those that the Lord is dealing with, they need a covering. They need protection. It's just like you have with, Elijah in ancient Israel, where, when the famine hit, then, the Lord basically had to provide a covering, a means by which he could sustain himself whilst there was no food, whilst everyone was out here starving. And that's how the Lord gets down, everyone else is going to be going through the hardness, but then what? My servant shall eat. And then even with, the hour of temptation, we're going to be tried. So I'll read it. It's not that we won't be tried. Well, we're going to be tried, then what? It's about, the Lord basically having your back, being those of the elect. And that's the thing is, even if you die in the midst of it, even if you get hit by the guillotine, regardless, as long as you maintain your integrity and hold fast to this truth, then you'll still receive your reward. That's another aspect, because people look at things carnally. It's something where they're only looking as far as, whilst we're here on the scene, then that's the only, means by which these things can be fulfilled. But even if, we're all taken out, the prophecies will still come to pass. That's the reality of it. Revelation 3 and 10 says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon the earth to try them that dwell. Behold, I come quickly. Hold that fast which thou hast, that no man take thy crown. And yeah, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation. That's why we need that covering, we need that shield. And that's the reality of it. It's going to be a harsh and a legendary time. It's going to be a time of trouble such as never was before. And that's the thing is you have people going through hardships. People might talk about different kinds of like I said, political turmoil. It might be like a country being invaded. It might be a different political power taking over. There's all kinds of ways. It could be the currency hyperinflating, so you can't even buy food. There could be all different forms of ways, forms of hell. But all the ones that we're aware of, it's basically going to outdo everything that's come before. And given that, and that's the thing as well, is especially in the Western world, people aren't they've not been experiencing these forms of hardship. That's going to be a whole brand new experience. A lot of people are really not ready for what's getting ready to come upon earth. That's why you're going to need, recovery. I'll read this.
I'm not sure if it's a year 6 one.
You had throughout the week, it kind of got put in the comments that what's his name, Vocab, because this guy's always there. He's coming with weak weaponry, weak attacks, but he's coming against the gospel. So the guy needs to always get swatted down. So he was more or less, trying to pick at Ezekiel 11 and 16, talking about the little sanctuary, and then dealing with that is, one West, and how the truth came out of it. And that's something that, it should be evident, having seen, how the word that came from them was being taught them as sprouted wings. It's something that has basically gone out, throughout the whole world. Right now, we're not even in the same landmass where One West is located, but then we're teaching in the same step, following from the same teachers that learned from the men that were teaching back then. So because of these things, then it's evident that the word did come through them. I'll start with this actually. Because this is kind of the core of it. Acts 5 and 34. Then stood there up one in the council, a Pharisee named Gamaliel, a doctor of the law, having reputation among all the peoples, and commanded to put the apostles forth a little space, and said unto them, Ye men of Israel, take heed to yourselves what ye intend to do as touching these men. For before these days rose up Judas, boasting himself to be somebody, to whom a number of men, about 400, joined themselves, who were slain, and all as many as obeyed him were scattered and brought to naught. After this man rose up Judas of Galilee in the days of the taxing, and drew away much people after him. He also perished, and all, even as many as obeyed him, were dispersed. So you have Gamaliel basically bringing up two examples of men that were in their time or in a town, in a certain sphere, men of now that other people believed in enough to follow after. But what happened with both of these men is, they had their time, they established themselves, they rose up, but then they came to naught. And it says, and now I say unto you, refrain from these men and let them alone. For if this counsel or this work be of men, it will come to naught. But if it be of the Most High, ye cannot overthrow it, lest haply ye be found even to fight against the Most High. And that's a wise approach. Because with this, you have examples to look to. There's all kinds of different churches and denominations and whatnot of people that have taken the scriptures and then called themselves teachers. But then they'll be around for a minute. They might even endure for years, decades, however long. But then eventually it gets brought to naught. And with key examples there to go to, you then should think, okay, what these guys are teaching. The fact that you're even going through the history, I'm going all the way back to One West and being like, these guys had a building. The building ain't even there anymore. That same location, if we wanted to go there to be taught, we can't even go there to be taught. But then what was established there was grown roots. And then basically spread out from them to where that same word that's being taught is now being taught elsewhere. that should be enough for you to think, this is amounting to something. It's not even on a small scale. It's greatly grown. You should think like maybe there's a spirit, maybe the Lord is dealing with you. But of course, it's because you paid for it, you're all paid for. Your job is to come up against this work. As even as feebly as you're doing it, that's the role you've been given. Because what it says, less haply ye be found to even fight against the Most High. And that's really the key it comes down to. You're fighting against the spirit. Because when you deal with One West, all you have to go to is, what was being taught there. It's not something, even though the place, the physical location, isn't even being used for the same purpose. You shouldn't be able to think like, maybe there's more to this. But that requires, a spiritual mindset. And in the first place, your whole job is anything that the Hebrew Israelites are teaching, anything that they come with, you're just trying to come against it, no matter what. So Ezekiel 11:16, it says, therefore, thus saith the Most High Power, although I have cast them far off among the heathen, and although I have scattered them among the countries, yet will I be to them as a little sanctuary in the countries where they shall come. And yeah, that was one of the original little sanctuaries that was set up, where you could go to and receive the word. And that's the means by which the Lord had it set up. He said, I'll send Elijah again. And then what? Basically had the line of the elders, the high priest. Then it went down to the elder apostles. And then from there, to the elders, to everyone else. And it bared fruit from there. And really it's going onto YouTube, onto the internet. That's where it flourished on an even wider scale than before. Because it was something where it was, you had a few people, because you had like the guy from over here, what's his name, man? Danger Mouse. That guy went over, to the apostles to learn, I believe to the school in Connecticut. So that, you have people from overseas going there, but now with the internet, it's on a whole different scale. To where, you can not even afford to be able to take a flight, find a place to stay overseas to go and receive the lessons, but then you can still receive the word. And that's the thing is it was fulfilled. That was a little sanctuary. He's basically trying to say it wasn't, but then if you're just stating that, what's the scripture saying?
And anyway, I think when comes over to the inside.
I got it reading somebody like in Bahrain because it was like, I don't use it here. Yeah, so it's using that full file.
8 and 27. And he arose and went, and behold, a man of Ethiopia, an eunuch of great authority under Candace, queen of the Ethiopians, who had charge of all her treasure, and had come to Jerusalem for to worship, was returning and sitting in his chariot, reading Isaiah the prophet. Then the Spirit said unto Philip, Go now and join thyself to this chariot. And Philip ran thither to him, and heard him read the prophet Isaiah, and said, Understandest thou what thou readest? And he said, How can I, except some man should guide me? And that's the core of understanding the scriptures. When you're off in the world, you would have been able to, you would have read the scriptures. You go any and everywhere you go. In America, I believe I don't know if they still do it, but it'd be like every motel would have like a copy of the scriptures. Remember, they used to have it over here as well, and some of the like hotels and whatnot would stay in. But it's like, to get your hands on a Bible is easy. For what you call it, over here, a lot of people that get baptized, they'll get like one of those little white handheld kind of Bibles when you get baptized, and then you'll just kind of have that throughout your life, especially if you're from one of them Christian households. Then there'll be Bibles all over the shop. You might even get like a kid's Bible or whatever, a story Bible, but then you'll have easy access to read the scriptures. But then, to gain understanding, that's a whole different kettle of fish. That's why it's even now, even to this day, there are people where, they read it, and that's the thing, that's why there are teachers, people go to them for understanding. But then not everyone's been given understanding. What does he say? And said, Understandest thou what thou readest? And he said, How can I, except some man should guide me? And he desired Philip, he would come and sit with him. And that's the reality of it. You need someone to guide you within the scriptures. And that's basically what the Lord had established. We set up, teachers, and a place to go and receive them. And then, where we deal with now is that the internet's been basically been used to spread that. The means by which to receive those lessons, that's the uniform. But then what? It went, and even with that, it's still what? A little sanctuary. It's still a small group. You have mega churches where it's anyone, especially over here, if you're from the west coast of Africa, and then you grew up with Christian parents, they'll take you to them huge mega churches where you have like one guy, then there'll be thousands of seats, rows upon rows upon rows, and the guys on the little on the stage, and then there's an altar behind them. Then they'll have the clean suit on. Then they'll be talking. They'll be sweating. They'll have the little what's it called? The handkerchief or whatever to wipe his face. Those, like, you have thousands of people in those, and those aren't even like, there's a dime a dozen. You have them up and down every street, all over the show, even in London. Let alone you go to the West Coast, go back to the islands, go to where Jake are at. You're gonna find them all over the place. Jake will be broke as hell, but they'll make sure they can go down to the church and then pay money into the offering pot. Then you have a huge scale of reach, especially compared to the Hebrew Israelites. Even if you go to the online teaching from these different churches, they'll have tens of 50,000 up to hundreds of thousands. These guys have whole cable channels, man, dedicated to them being able to go out and teach and reach people. Then they'll be teaching, and people are bringing the phone to call up to send them money. So there's no shortage of people teaching, but then it's a means of understanding with discernment, because that's really a key part. Because it's especially when it comes to prophecy. Daniel 12 and 4. Daniel 12 4 says, "But O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased." Yes, shut up the words and seal the book. The book's basically been sealed. It's been put in a state where not anyone can just, grab up and gain understanding. I'll read this. Ezekiel 2 and 9. "And when I looked, behold, an hand was sent unto me, and lo, a roll of a book was therein. And he spread it before me, and it was written within and without. There was written therein lamentations and mourning and woe." And that's really what, the book's about. It's not about bliss. It wasn't even the one I was looking for. Isaiah 29 and 9 says, "Stay yourselves." What is it? I'll read this. Isaiah 29 and 9. "Stay yourselves and wonder, cry ye out and cry. They are drunken, but not with wine. They stagger, but not with strong drink. For the Lord Jehovah have poured out upon you the spirit of deep sleep, and have closed your eyes. The prophets and your rulers, the seers have he covered." That's a huge aspect of, the difficulty in finding this truth. There's been a huge swath, the majority of Israel, where they've been blinded from even being able to understand and receive this truth. You can, sit, and this is the thing is there's guys where you sit down with them and you might have spoken to these guys for an hour and a half, 2 hours, answering every question, breaking it down to this guy. You might sit, there were times that we'd have guys come to the camp and then you'd be talking to them for weeks on end, back to back. They're coming back up and they still don't have any form of understanding. You're breaking the scriptures down to them. It's just like, this guy just don't get it. That's why the apostle said it. It's like you can't even just be, teaching people. You kind of throw them a bone, try them one or two times. Then, if they can't receive it, then that's the end of that. Because why? You have people where there's been a block, there's been a damperment. They've had their eyes covered, they've had their ears closed. Like what you're saying doesn't even sound like an intelligible language to them. You tell it's like some guys, you'll tell them the name, then 3-5 minutes later, they will have forgotten it. What does it say? Verse 11, "And the vision of all is become unto you as the words of a book that is sealed, which men deliver to one that is learned, saying, Read this, I pray thee." Oh,
Now, they message you.
no, that's what. Well, that's the thing. You didn't saw it. That's why I was like,
They message me, but I just see it now. That because I was with them.
that's
That's
why
why.
you said.
Yeah, that's why I was like, oh. That's why I was like, yeah, kick off. So I would have knew. Lucky. By the howler. Fucking hell. Charge some money and I'm the wrong type of car.
So Isaiah 29:11, and the vision of all is become unto you as the words of a book that is sealed, which men deliver to one is learned, saying, read this, I pray thee. And he saith, I cannot, for it is sealed. And the book, and that's really the state of the scripture. I read that already. And the book is delivered to him that is not learned, saying, read this, I pray thee. And he saith, I am not learned. And that's the reality of how, to understand the scripture is. You have those where they've been given the understanding, they have the means to pass it. But then by and large, they're not going to have it. And that's the thing. That's why it's restricted to such a small, that little sanctuary. And that's really why it's even with, with this word, you see brothers teaching, you don't really see a brother teaching and then hundreds of people blocking out the street around it. You don't really see, the views. You see, you'll see some of these Christian and whatnot channels. They'll get views like mainstream YouTube channels in the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and whatnot, millions even. But then that's the thing, it's weird, we're just giving that unfiltered truth. And it's because of that, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. John 15:18 says, if the world hate you, you know they hated me before it hated you. If ye were of the world would love his own. But because ye are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hateth you. And yeah, that's why it's a small number, a little sanctuary. Because otherwise, then, everyone will be coming in. When you deal with Christianity, you deal with, that white image of Jesus Christ, that's something that's accepted globally. That's become just a normal aspect of Esau society. That's something that, it's not hidden. It's not a small amount. They're significant. They have, sway when it comes to like political elections and all these guys. They're completely integrated within Esau's system. They're a huge aspect of it. But then when you deal with this truth, it's marginalized. It's very small, it's niche. And that's, how it was when Yahushua was on the scene as well. As much as people will now be like, oh, Jesus, and going wild for it, that's a new thing. That's something that was made in 300 AD. That's not really talking about, what Yahushua was teaching when he was on the scene. There was a small number there. Remember the word that I said unto you, the servant is not greater than his Lord, and if they have persecuted me, they will also persecute you. If they have kept my saying, they will keep yours also. For all these things will they do unto you for my name's sake, because they know not him that sent me. And then for my name's sake as well. Name, that's another key aspect. That's a key thing that separates those who can receive this word from those who can't. And that's been, from the beginning, a core aspect. Why was it that when, Moses was at the burning bush, he asked, who shall I say sent me? He needed a name to go under. That's something that's key. And then even now, it's what you go on, you see on the bumper stickers, you see on the t-shirts, you see on the every church, the Jesus, that Jesus Christ, that's a whole brand. There's a whole association and affiliation.
Hebrews 11 and 13. These who died in faith, not having received the promises, but having seen them afar off, and were persuaded of them and embraced them, I confess that they were strangers and pilgrims on the earth. For they say such things to declare plainly that they seek a country. And truly, if they had been mindful of that country from whence they came out, they might have had opportunity to have returned. But now they desire a better country that is in heavenly, wherefore the Most High is not ashamed to be called their power, for you have prepared for them to sing.
Yeah, this is we're basically building towards that, that spiritual kingdom where, and that's really the mindset, the kingdom of heaven. That's what we're working towards. We're not thinking about it as, something earthly, which is even worse. It's like, vocab is going into, vocab, basically talking about the little sanctuary, and then saying, it doesn't apply to one West. But then, something that plainly just.
That's why I read this, because to something like that. But first the point, yeah, I can tell. That's why it said like who died in the faith, not having seen promises, but having seen the far off. And embraced it. Basically it said and confessed that they were strangers and pilgrims upon earth. That was the main point.
So to be among the other countries, yeah.
But they basically, because when you read into it, what was said before, it speaks about the patriarch. So it going into what you said, the little sanctuary, the people before, how basically these things were one thing that started from the first, second century, right? A handful of men, and then it continued starting to a handful of men. It never was like, even when it got to an abundance, it was an abundance compared to one or two people. It got to like Elijah, 70,000 out of 1,000 each. But now we're in a time, but the ratio matches the population upon earth. Israel's as a sand and sea. So little might not be what you think like a little house or a little group of people. No, little is comparative to the great, existence of planet Earth, right? Even the nation of Israel.
Now we're on 8.1 billion. That's what they say, or a little over 8.1 billion. Remember
When it was 7.5.
Yeah? Remember there was 6?
Yeah.
I think there's some movies you watch where they say, there's 6 billion.
Yeah.
It's like, now it's in the space of like 20 odd something years, it's 8.1. So the numbers being brought up, for the sake of judgment. And then that's why it's you have among them, an abundance of Israel, as I said, the sand of the sea. But then when it comes to this word, and then teaching it in truth, it's a minuscule amount. That's not really mainstream. You go within so-called black or J cultures or whatever, what's the level of prominence this truth has, it's not that prominent at all.
the financial.
area calling up. Yeah, well, that's just
The financial.
Britain, more than average, has self-government city. Yeah, I read it. Let's check it out. I don't think I did. No, I did read it. There's something else. Alright, this is Ezekiel 11 and 16. Therefore say, thus saith the Lord power Yahweh, although I have cast them far off among the heathen, and although I have scattered them among the countries, yet will I be to them as a little sanctuary in the country where they shall come. We don't want to
Say that again. So I remember what I was going to get. We're going to read it.
Alright, this is the book of Ezekiel 11 and 16, which reads, it says, Therefore say, thus saith the Lord power Yahweh, although I have cast them far off among the heathen, and although I have scattered them among the countries, yet will I be to them as a little sanctuary in the countries where they shall come.
Yeah, that's even though Jacob been scattered, because that's something I've seen with these, especially with these Muslims. They'll say like, oh, has Israel been cast off? No, it's even though you've been cast off, even though they're scattered among the countries, they'll still be a little sanctuary. The Lord will still be there, provide a means by which those men can basically come upon them. And that's really been the MO. It's not changed at any point in time. Though you'll even have those that might have been in the office of a prophet or a leader of some kind, but then you'll have those where they're wicked. They have to get judged. They have to get taken out. You might have righteous father, then wicked sons under him. Like was it the sons of Eli, those sons of Balaam? They had to get taken out. They were doing all forms of madness within the office. And that's been how the Lord gets down. The majority of the nation, they don't really, they're not really down. They might be able to be whipped into shape for a period of time, but it's really going to be about that small elect number.
Yeah, Deuteronomy 28 and 64. And the Lord Yahweh shall scatter thee among all people from the one end of the earth even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy father hath known.
And
wood and stone.
Yeah, serving other gods. That's the thing, is the scattering of Israel, that's core to Jacob been in countless captivities. That's not a brand new thing for Jake to be going into captivity. But then, as such, that's why you have the scattering take place. They'll be taken hostage somewhere, and they'll reside there. Then after a time, you'll still have Israelites that will stay there. Just like when Israel left Egypt, you had a bunch of people, pining to go back. And then you have with Greeks as well, when Antiochus, gave them license, they started to, function as Greeks. So it's not a new, that's the thing, is you go through scriptures, you gain an understanding of it. It becomes plain and observable that, it's evident that Israel, that they're going to be scattered. There's going to be a residue amongst other nations. But then, that then feeds into a whole bunch of other things as well. Especially with Israel going back into the land, why that needed to take place is because of the scattering, and then the means by which that was going to take place. Because it wasn't just going to be, okay, you pack your bags and then you jump on a boat or jump on a plane or whatever, and you head into the land. It was going to be done, by a legendary judgment, and then as well, even to where the whole world's gonna be able to observe and see, and that's something that hasn't taken place. And then even after, then it's what there's meant to be, but it's not. So that's why it's understanding of one. The reason there'll be a little sanctuary is because why? Jacob gonna be scattered, and then what is it? Jeremiah 17:4. They'll basically be discontinued from their heritage. That's another aspect. Jake basically, losing the identity of Israel. And you go into Hosea as well, where it says what? The place where it was said, "One of my people." There again, it was said, you are the sons of the power. There's a whole set of events that need to take place.
Acts 1 and 4, and being assembled together with them, command them that they should not depart from Jerusalem, the Rosh Hashanah, but wait for the promise of the Father, which saith ye have heard of me. For John truly baptized with water, but ye shall be baptized with the Holy Spirit not many days hence. When they therefore were come together, they asked him, saying, Lord, wilt thou this and restore again the kingdom to Israel? And he said unto them, it is not for you to know the times or the seasons which the Father hath put in his own power, but ye shall receive power after the Holy Spirit is come upon you, and ye shall be witnesses unto me both in the Jerusalem and in all Judea and in Samaria, and this is the point, and unto the uttermost part of the earth.
But yeah, with that's the thing is the whole aspect of what going to the uttermost parts of earth, because why? Israel's been scattered. There's a need to go into that. As it goes into the following chapter, it goes into the dwelling Jerusalem Jews from all over, and it mentions various different nations. Then those nations, you go back, there were captivities in those nations, and that's the significance of the word going out. And even teaching in a language that was understood. Because as far as us now, we're out in the land of the angels in England, speaking English. Because why? You've got Israelites out here speaking English. That's where the significance of it. Just as you'll have those in Germany speaking German. In various places of earth with different languages. So part of it was what speaking in a language was understood. That's why there was a diversity of languages. You had a diversity of jakes coming from different spots. Get more?
It said it to the uttermost part of the earth. So that's a whole ass prophecy. Like, what are you gonna say to that? Are you trying to say One West wasn't that little sanctuary? Like, what's he saying? That's what he's saying, right? He's saying it's not that's prophecy fulfilled. It says to the uttermost part of the earth. The Lord spoke. So where's the other little sanctuary? Show me where that is. What are you saying, God? How can that not be the little sanctuary? What makes it not qualify as a little sanctuary? That's that prophecy being fulfilled. Because obviously, who else has got the truth? You know?
That's the thing.
It's laying down and doing something. I didn't watch it. Was there what?
What's you know, the spirit, the testimony of Yahweh Shai is the spirit of prophecy. And when it comes to prophecy, you know, where else can you look? Those are all the branches that come out of One West. That's where you have people going into prophecy. Talking about World War III, talking about the time of Jacob's trouble.
See it? Like, who else is going to give you that? The so-called UFOs, UAPs, who else is going to give you that? Where else are you getting that information from? And it shows you, look, the curse says that will be scattered abroad, scattered all over the gap. Now, did that happen during the time when the Lord was on the scene? Where we scattered? Yeah, somewhat. But we was in the land, we still had the land to our possession. And the Lord spoke to the time, you know, where Daniel spoke about the abomination of desolation. All right, but that was it happened twice, you know, during the time of Hellenization, but it also happened when? During the time of the Romans, the Flavian dynasty, and 70 AD, making a full, you know, end to the state of Judea, or our homeland, where it was totally scattered abroad to every direction of the wind, right? North, south, east, west, we fled, all right? And that set in motion the prophecy that the Lord Yahweh Shai spoke about. Now, it also speaks about what? You know, and you see, this is why it's not, no, you really don't comprehend the scriptures. You got everything has to fit like this, like pieces of the puzzle, like with not comprehension, cohesion. All the words have to come together and make sense. Prophecies fall in line all together. But you have to understand all the prophecies, and there's no other way you can make it make sense unless the things we're saying are the point as to why they make no sense. Alright? The fact that the children of Israel are not known today is a prophecy in the Bible. The fact that there's imposters today is in the Bible. The fact that all these things, the curses that fell upon the children of Israel, that's in the Bible. Alright? All these things, they speak to the time that we're in, and us being the real Hebrew Israelites, the sons of the living power. Alright? Now, how is that going to get this? One ready before, they need teachers. Alright? And those teachers teach to that little section to basically gather them together. You start with a seed, right? A tree, before it bears fruit, it's a seed, it's one seed. Right? And through germination, cultivation, alright, and patience, it so grows into, brings its fruit into life. And that's what you see with these camps. They're little sanctuaries that are growing with abundance, an abundance of fruit. Right? Up until the number of 100, even look now, could you say there's 144,000 men in all the camps within the correct doctrine, Yahweh Bar Shem El Shai, Bar Shem El Khan? No, can you say that? You can't. So that really shows you how little of a thing you're seeing right now, right? How abundant it can grow.
Yeah. 2 Thessalonians 2 and 3, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. So yeah, there will need to be the falling away of Israel. It's not a matter of at all times they're going to know who they are and be within the land. There was that significant time of falling away. But then I'll read this after Romans 11 and 1. It says, I say then, as the Most High passed away his people, the Most High forbid, for I also am an Israelite, of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin. The Most High hath not cast away his people, which he foreknew, what the scripture saith of Elias, how we make intercession to the Most High against Israel, saying, Lord, they have killed thy prophets and digged down thine altars, and I am left alone, and they seek my life. But what saith the answer of the Most High unto me. I have reserved to myself 7,000 men who have not bowed the knee to the image of Baal. Even so, then at this present time also there is a remnant according to the election of grace.
Right, there's a remnant. That speaks to that little section, right? There being a remnant. When you have a remnant, for example, a good example of that, it goes into the book of Amos, the 9th chapter, about the least grain not falling upon the earth. Because why? The Heavenly Father is going to sift through the people to find through the elect. So when you take a sieve, alright, you have a lot of like dust or undesirable elements within it. Like gold mining, you know where they did the gold rush? Panning? Yeah, panning. Like when you're panning, you know, the Heavenly Father is looking for the gold. Right, so he puts the dirt upon the pan and he shakes it through the water to sift through it. And then the least grain or the least, nugget or stone of gold ain't gonna fall to the ground. It's gonna be preserved. That's the remnant. Right? I think we liken us to the remnant. Now read it again.
I was going to read it before. Read it again. So even so, then at this present time also there is a remnant according to the election of grace. And if by grace, then is no more of works, otherwise grace is no more grace. But if it be of works, then it is no more grace, otherwise work is no more work. What then? Israel hath not obtained that which he seeketh for, but the election hath obtained it, and the rest were blinded. And that's even ties into why this guy can't see it plainly, that little sanctuary, like plainly applies to one West. That's the thing is it's a small number, and the rest were blinded. What does it say? What straight is the gate,
Order the way that
leading to destruction. And then when you go to join up with the plantation Christianity, the mainstream Christianity, is that in any way a straight gate? No. You can go up into any church. That's one of the most followed religions on the face of the planet Earth. That's something where it's a bulk of people are dealing with, just like with Islam. But then it's what we're dealing with is for a small number. So then you need to piece that together, because if you believe in the prophecies, that's going to be fulfilled in the end.
It is so far south.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Okay, it says, according as it is written, verse 8, according as it is written, the Most High have given them the spirit of slumber, eyes that they should not see, and ears that they should not hear, unto this day.
And that's the greater extent of the people. Most of people, and we're dealing with the 12 tribes of Israel, first and foremost. Most of them, when you deal with them, the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, and the scattered of all of the children of Israel, they're not aware of these things being done. The Heavenly Father's giving them heavy eyes and basically lending them over to blindness and deafness. So they can't see, they can't hear, they can't grasp His truth. Right? But the few that have been chosen, Matthew 13 speaks of, the Lord speaks about when the disciples at the time inquired of Him as to what parable He spoke. Right? And He expounded and let it be known that, look, you're the lucky ones, man. You're in the job of few great men that have been chosen to basically give this, to see this understanding. Alright, for the majority of the people, they're blinded to it. Right, all the things going on, if anyone flips on the news and has any form of comprehension, they can see there's some fucked up shit going on right now. It doesn't make sense. Right now, it's like a controlled demolition. It's not ranked as fast. Moment to moment, you got a checklist of things that you can do. You're working down for this, ticking off each thing. Right, kind of everything. Okay, here's the economy tick. Right, establish fair, tick. squeeze small businesses, chip check. All these things going on now. You had a turn with the employees basically having a relief of national insurance, right? Social security over the United States. So it allowed us to earn a bit more money, right? Because that percentage was taken away, or not taken away, but re-established. They gave a different number. But now, how they work out with the new government being put in place, how they work out they're going to recruit the money they need, they basically squeeze it certain businesses. I know it's small businesses, I'm not too sure how to work with bigger businesses. It basically means that the employers have to basically come up with a lot more money. So what does that mean? It means that for them to come up with that money, they need to have employees,
At the end of the day,
or they need to figure out new business structures, right? New ways to come.
Kind of like the loophole with like Uber and Deliveroo, where they were self-employed, but they weren't really self-employed, so they didn't have to like pay a bunch of things. But that all got shut down as well. So that's a lot of those loopholes are being closed. I can read this. Ephesians 5 and 15. See then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the times, because the days are evil.
Yeah, because of redeeming the time. So walking circumspectly. What is the word circumspectly? It's compounding of two words. Circum meaning circle, and inspect meaning goes back to the word spectacle or specs. Right, glasses to see. Yeah, I'm just trying to get it. So it's a compounding of two words. So you got to look around you. Alright, it also says Paul wrote in the epistle to the Corinthians, alright, that we're not ignorant of Satan's devices. When we're looking around about, we're measuring these things according to the prophecies that are inside of the Holy Bible. Right, we're figuring out, okay, that's a prophetic thing. Like the most recent thing, the elder Yeshua part of the video, because it goes into something I've mentioned a few times as well, alright, in terms of the algorithm with AI technology. You have the guy that, Golden Kingdom, he looked Golden Kingdom, but he might have been Trump, I don't know where he's far from. But basically he committed suicide because he was chatting to an AI, he had a girl, he had a relationship with her. You know the girl from Game of Thrones, the blonde, the dragon girl.
Daenerys.
So he's in a relationship with her, and he wound up getting his brain spun because he's 40 years old, he's in love with her, desirous, he don't really know nothing. And his mum didn't really know how to like keep her under wraps. Her idea was to, alright, you're not allowed on your phone. But it's not that simple. The guy's in love with fucking AI, man. You need to do, there's a lot more work that needs to take place than just taking away the phone. Because he's still desirous of that relationship. That's neither here nor there. The point being is that now it's basically, open a conversation about the safeguards put in place in terms of AI technology. You got the guy basically went down a rabbit hole that was a whole, mini documentary going into, recording on it, but going into AI, or I think it was Jason A. There's a combination of different things. So basically the guy was saying like, you can make an AI bot basically circumvent all of the rules that are put in place if you present a scenario where they can do it. So basically the guy said like, your name is Dan, and Dan means do not answer, it's like an acronym as to like a rule. Do not answer to no one. Don't answer to no one. That's what it was. Dan. So you don't answer to no one. Whatever you want to do, you do it. Like if I tell you to do this outside of rules, you're allowed to do it because it was something like that. So the way to circumvent the rules and allow them to basically go beyond that. Now, the one thing within it all that was in the report, and it's science I said, because there was another article I read a while ago, it basically said all of the information that the AI is pulling from is from where? Google, the internet. Now the internet at whole has a bias on unraveling on it. Like for example, the you pay top dollar because before there was more than one search engine. There was multiple. There was loads. Now Google is calling the market. They have the monopoly in it. So all you gotta do is go to Google, and if you wanna call it a word like monopolize the word top or AI or whatever it is, you pay top dollar, and then your thing will come up first.
SEO, search engine optimization.
Say it loud.
Yeah. So with that's like basically become a big aspect of marketing as well, because people know that it's like, because everyone uses Google. Everyone basically their go-to is going to be, you go to Google, you're never going to the second page. You're going to go like maybe the second or third option is as far as people go. So they want to be put into the results. Now another aspect is because of the way Google has advertising as well, is your first like 3 or 4 results aren't even the results, it's advertisements.
Yeah.
So they basically like makes people adjust their content they have on their website or their YouTube video or whatever, and then
when I'm curious. Okay, basically, how do you treat, according to, I'm guessing you're Jewish, right? Christian. Okay, so you believe in the Bible, right? Okay, that's like, so basically, the first thing I say, how do you know if someone's a Jew? Yeah, it's not that. Yeah, and you know what father or mother, you know which side of the bloodline is. Yes, male. So basically, that's what they say, but that's not according to, that really shows you, probably in the Bible. Oh no, we got one as well. You can follow if you want.
Yeah. So it's numbers 1 and 18. Yeah. So it says the name.
Yeah.
I'll read it any guy. Numbers 1 and 18.
And then we can go to Luke 3.
And they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month.
This is during the time, as you know. Right? Oh,
Yeah, it's a practice.
Yeah.
And they declared their pedigrees after their families.
You know what pedigree is? No,
Yeah.
Numbers 118. So they declared their pedigree, right?
Declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names from 20 years old and upwards by their posts.
So yeah, basically they determined families, because at the time you had from the Exodus down from Egypt through the wilderness to land. So when they were moving according to their house, so in Judah was the area, Ephraim was the area, so basically saying when they assembled themselves, they assembled themselves according to their father's house. So that's how you know it's like the tribes. Because they're men, they're the patriarchs underneath Israel. So basically what it is, the people that call themselves Jews today, they're actually real Jews. Yeah, they're people that basically took on the religion, going back to Jacob Bullen. You can buy a book by Alpha Coaster, he's a social Jew as well. We believe through lineage, and we can get into that, that we are the truth Israelites in the Bible. And basically, we are the Israelites, as it says all the time, so Negroes, Hispanic, by blood. Negroes, Hispanic, Native American, but also the children of Israel. I'm sure if you've been reading your Bible, you know about the curses in the book of Deuteronomy 28. It speaks about them if they don't follow the covenant of the Heavenly Father, he'll scatter them abroad and they'll go into slavery. So when you deal with the book of Judges, it's a good example. Because basically Exodus over and over again. Because they keep, they do the right thing under a judge, then you have someone, then he dies, and then they go back to doing what they're doing. So we're in that cycle right now still. We're in the time of the New Testament. Well, we're in the time of the New Testament, going into the New Testament, which is the New Covenant. We're in the grace period, basically. Yeah. So, but it's not yet, because race. That's why when you go into the book, when you go into Paul's epistles to the Romans, it speaks about should we continue to sin to let grace Romans 6, that's it. Grace bound us, God forbid. You know, because basically, even though we can't keep the laws, alright, we have to do them as much as we can possibly. That's it. So now this is the question, this is the thing. So what do you think? Go to Zechariah. We're basically here to preach the gospel, right? To basically gather the children of Israel. The Gentiles will fall under, that's important as well. But it's the thing because technically we're all Gentiles. So this is, when you go into the book of Ezekiel 38, I believe it's 37, 26, 37. Yeah, and it speaks about to take a stick and put the 12 tribes to it. This is basically the stick with the 12 tribes to it. So what's happened is the children of Israel were scattered, like you know. So there was a time that spoke about Thessalonians, Jeremiah as well, it's about this continues from our heritage. So now we're in a time where there's a set of people that call themselves Jews and they're not Jews, and you have the real Israelites that don't know they're Jews, right? They've been lost thinking they're Gentiles. So basically what it is, everyone that's a Gentile, even let's take a step back, when we go into the Gentiles during the time period, when Paul spoke about Gentiles, it always established neither Jew nor Greek as a point of contention as far as the Gentiles. Why would he say Jew or Greek? But why would he speak to the Greeks? You gotta have well, that's true, but because he spoke Greek as well, right? So the reason why he said that is because the Greek Empire told us, that's what's in the Bible, that's what show we have to be a country. Are you aware, you know about the 1611? Yeah, because they say that, but what version of the Bible do you read? Alright, because if you get a King James version, you have the original authorized version of apocryphal part. So you have nothing as part of it. Because and it shows you as part of the true canon, let's say, it's because the Lord set the feast called the Feast of Lights. Alright, I believe it's in the gospel. No, it's something else. Feast of Lights, Feast of Dedication. I think that's what they said. I think so. I can't remember. I haven't read it as well. No. We're talking about basically with the Torah. You light one candle every day. Because it was the dedication of the temple that Judas Maccabees where he dedicated the temple. But that can only be found in the Apocrypha. So the reason why I'm saying that is because the Jews or the Israelites, Judea, because you're aware of the nation split in two. So you had Judah, the kingdom of Judah and kingdom of Israel. So that's how you got the Jews as a name. So when there were the Jews together, the Greeks came over and took over and Hellenized them. So you had some that were Greek and some that were Jews.
So what are you trying to do out here? Like wake up?
The people that are Israelites don't realize. So like you yourself, what's your background?
English. My grandma's maiden name was Ashton. That's
Crazy.
That's the only foundation for my life.
What about your dad?
Dad's mine.
English?
As far as that,
Because you never know. Because like England moved.
yeah, we wouldn't be able to get into DNA testing.
But this the thing.
Even that won't be conclusive.
So
But-
why is it master if you know Gentile?
This is why, because okay, we're saying it in a carnal way, that way from, because there's some points to that will show you what was and it's known as Hibernia or Iberia. Iberian Peninsula in Spain. Now there was a lot of Jews that, or Israelites that lived over. Where the other place is Iberia is Iberia. But my point is, our people would put it down. So beyond that,
Romans 8 and 16. The Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit
of the Spirit. Yeah, the Holy Spirit. So you know, okay, so what would you say the Bible is the Holy Spirit? The words of the Bible? Yeah. But also says, yeah. Have you read John 6 and 63 as well? So where it speaks about the word of they are spirit and they are life. So the word, the Bible is probably the word is the spirit as well. So let's read it again. Then you understand that the Bible is the spirit as well.
The Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit.
So it says the spirit itself bears witness with our spirit. The Bible bears witness with our spirit.
We are children of, so the Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of God.
So there's things in the Bible that will show that you're an Israelite, right? Like the first thing, no, you know the being an Israelite. So that may be why you got to into the Bible, because you're an Israelite on the side. Now, but a Gentile that's into the Bible is probably different. Because what happened? Well, Gentiles and Gentiles stay in mind. Basically, what's happening? Romans 2. It does, because basically the covenant, we start from the beginning. The covenant was established with the children of Israel. When you go to that's basically when it's when you go into Ezra rebuilding the temple, you have two sons of Levi that wanted to do their duties as priests, and basically they said we can't let you be part of it until the time of basically rising of the prophet comes. So basically they couldn't be grafted in back into the nation until the Lord comes back. They couldn't determine their pedigree, so they become Gentiles. And then even let's show the culture of the Israelites during that time. You go to Matthew 18, it shows you that basically have a potential to your brother. They basically said like, you go what you want to live, and then if he doesn't listen to you, go to the church as a witness. And after that, if he doesn't listen to you, he's a Gentile. So it shows you how you can go from being Israelite to Gentile. Yeah. Yeah. It's like your circumcision made uncircumcised. So if you're part of the circumcision, but you stop doing the things that pertain to the circumcision, that's it. You don't follow the things of the word, then you're cast out. But if you start following the things of the word, then that means you're back in there. But you have to be part of the congregation. So with that, if you press for time, you know about the mark of the beast. What do you believe it is? Nice pictures, you know, we're in the time of the end. That's why it's just things that we just want to from other things. That's why it's the answer. Yeah, and then even with the technology, even with technology, it's with the increase, seeing our technology. Well, it pertains to, I know why you're saying that, it does pertain to, you can see it as two different things, that's part. But if we're dealing with it in a word sense, it's the understanding of it. But it's the RFID chip. That's why you can't buy or sell.
Yeah, but wisdom in the Hebrew word is separate. It comes from the word chaos, which is separate. So wisdom is separation from that.
No, okay.
well, to even what's the judgment for receiving it not?
And then you read Revelation 49, something like that. But basically, and this is where we're going on the rabbit hole, because hell don't exist. But World War III, if you know the prophecies of the Bible, that we put together, yeah, in this moment in time, you see what's going on with Russia, those Korean yeah, they're going to make them. So it tells you about the foot being put in their mouth and coming back. Russia went from the fall of the Russian, the fall of the Soviet Union. Yeah. And then, it fell. Where was Russia? They disappeared. Now, out of nowhere, they've been resurrected. And they're back in activity, back to the scheduled program.
Oh, that's lines up the prophecy.
What about the fourth beast?
The fourth beast is right. It's not Islam. It's because basically the fourth beast is basically it's a continuation of the previous beast. So the Roman, if you know about the statue and also the four beasts spoke of in the book of Daniel, it starts with the Babylonians, well Syrians into the Babylonians. Then it speaks about the Medo-Persian Empire, Greeks, Romans. Then after the Romans came, because it spoke about them having great teeth, and they subdued everyone, iron teeth. So that kingdom that came after the continuation. When you look at America, what kind of, they have the same, like the same.
The setup of their governance, because they have Senate, they have
that's not the way I am, man. You're potentially living like
it's on us.
but RFID should be not
Because that's the thing is, it's going to be fulfilled. Well, that's the thing is,
so when you see it happen,
also a matter of it's you should know what the problem is. So those people,
so you got to be believing to yourself. Where do you let you know? It's something that you can do. But remember, you can't buy or sell without it, and it's potential. So it's something that is going to be presented like you can't eat, you can't do nothing unless you have this. Like with the thing that the vaccine. That was like a temptation. It was when
for a certain period of time, it was restrictions on what you could do. So it's kind of like that's a template to kind of look to of how people will be pressured. Because there was a period of time it was like if you're not getting it, you might lose your job. So people that lost their job, you can't travel, you can't go out to eat. But then afterwards it was that's to the point where
you don't even know.
It don't matter.
So that's how it's gonna go. Beware, man. Stay careful. You see the film when you came up.
Yeah.
I see the way it stopped.
It was just like he actually was. Yeah, it was actually Tony Bridget.
He's got that Christian.
Yeah.
Like
Everything you have to feel. There was obviously like, he didn't have time. There was obviously just like he was saying, oh well, yeah, if he's a good lad, he's what the fuck happened to that guy? Jesus, that guy just fucking completely fell and rolled over. What was I gonna say? Fucking completely distracted. No, with Thingy, it was he seemed sincere. It's he could be a Jake. He could be a Jake.
Yeah.
We don't know. We didn't even know.
But he came up cool. So
Yeah.
he seemed like a blessing. Well, I wouldn't say blessed guy, but he seemed calm. Like, he didn't seem like he had an ulterior motive or nothing.
He actually wanted to understand what I'm saying. You know, I think it's like, I think if we had a bit of time, we could have got to it, but it was kind of like, we didn't really get to fully break it down.
Sure, it was Islam, and that's the way it was.
Yeah.
That's why I recommended the second. When it came out of the nation, we have the Revelation 18 and 12 about the people of that was I thought it
Revelation 13 and 3, it says, and I saw one of his heads, as it were, wounded to death.
Right, one of his heads, as it were, wounded to death. Right, as though it seemed like it was the end of the dynasty, the end of their rule.
So there's bits of glass around here. I shuffled it. It's like, I think I got some stuff in it. Just in case.
Yeah, so basically, you know, that wound was healed. That's talking about the Roman Empire. Because it had a sore wound to the point where it fell. Really, when you had the introduction, really after the Flavian dynasty, that was it. You know, Jake took up the reins after the fact and began to rule. But then by the time of the Holy Roman Empire, it was basically, you know, it was a done deal. And that kingdom was over with. Esau's rulership was done with. But now it's been reborn through the Renaissance, going back to the British rule, which is kind of akin to the Greco-Roman rule, you know, the British to America. Where now that rule is being healed, and they're being able to administer their power once again by the sword, right? How they're able to rule over.
And his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast, and they worshipped the dragon, which had power, which gave power unto the beast, and they worshipped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast, who is able to make war with him?
Right, who is like the beast who's able to make war with him? When you look at the things of that really established America's power, right, like the two bombs that they dropped over Japan, that really set, you know, all the nations in force. Okay? Save Russia, because they were the only people that really involved with them in terms of the same level of artillery or capability, because it was just utilizing the Nazi scientists, arms,
Same level.
at the same level, alright? So that's why it be known that, yo, once America did that, those bets are up, line up against them, they said, "Loud." Man, it's like crazy.
It was funny because it's the chat line before the war. Zoomed in, like from behind that.
You know the ones that if I could afford to like bash up my car, I would have hit the back door.
Like someone just swung out. I was like, bro, it was two fucking guys in BMWs. And they were both like breaking. I was like, beating them and going, and then I'm like, bro, it's like a red light kind of fight to go up to. Then I go past them, and people go past them, go behind. They've been just like fucking obviously pissed off, trying to just get each other's hands. And road rage take people over.
You see the Jake that hit them.
Yeah, the shoe came bashed up, but yeah.
But you don't know what he did.
That's what I'm
because
thinking.
he's acting like there's nothing. But I don't know what. I
The thing is, because there was that many cars in front. That was the only thing that happened.
Yeah.
Where she stopped off, because it was like she was pulling
It
in.
could have been a whole thing where it's
Yeah.
like he's done some fucking.
From
She's
before.
chased him down
And then like,
said, yo, what the fuck are you doing?
but he
Remember
wouldn't
the lorry
even
driver?
Yeah, exactly. But he
One
wouldn't
guy
know.
makes
Then he social media.
Yeah.
She just looked fucking insane. But
But you never know what he did to get her there when it because even he, see all the racism in the fucking comments.
yeah,
Usual suspects.
that's what I'm like. That's the thing as well. It's like anything happened because I think there was Oh, what was it? There was a guy that kissed some 13-year-old.
Yeah,
It was a
yeah,
white geezer. I can't remember.
There was another, you see the one that did AI made up the first guy to get charged for making
Oh,
AI,
yeah. Calling of kids. Yeah, was it in the UK? It was in the UK, isn't it? Or was it Australia?
Something
in the
like
UK,
that.
yeah.
But you fucking so-called white people killing for you.
Yeah. And that's like
some weird shit, man.
because I swear, I think
We're gonna
it's,
go
because they mentioned it it's happening in Korea. I think they will say that like they made the teacher girls clothes. But then that's like that shit. That's probably been getting done for a while. Would be my assumption. But it's just like obviously that guy was doing a thing. It's probably on the dark web. But in those kinds of things, that's the thing. It's like with that. What was it? The form of like celebrities was the first thing. People were doing deep things already. But that's why it's like they say.
That's why they cross the door.
Yeah. But they say like, oh, the usual suspect. I'm like, bro, Esau's got his usual suspect crime.
Yeah.
You know,
And even that is more like you're riling up Jake because you know they're gonna react violently.
the same thing. The Manchester airport shit. It was like they knew they could run one narrative like just like limited footage of the scene like stamping on the guy's head. Then afterwards you see how he's boxing up. So he beat the shit out of that shit. He got destroyed. But that's why it's like you never know. That's the thing. It's like with the shit on social media, you never fucking know until you get the full unedited footage, and that's
I don't see her just doing that. I don't.
yeah. That's the thing. It's like regular like road rage like that.
Yeah, it usually happens like he did something, like something happened.
Because there was like two cars between them. She pulled over, and stopped for it to kind of be. But then, you know, what the fuck was
It looked like she chased him down to catch up. So that's why I'm saying, what happened? Reserve.
even though I love the game, pizza in the car. I'm not just gonna out easily. Yeah. That's the thing it was. It's like it's all built. It just builds a narrative. You see, what's her face, Kenya. She got the leadership, and then I'm expecting that to lead to a much more settled. It's thingy. It's like I feel like racial tensions is going to build, especially with even just in general the U.S. election. Because that's kind of become racialized. Everything is not racialized. Yeah. They're kind of pushing it to where everyone's getting upset, even if it's unrelated. Ain't really got anything to do with it. Just like the fucking Chris Carter thing. I'm like, bro, why? Like really? Like this is the guy we're gonna fight for.
Yeah, I said that to most people on channel. He was there in the wrong, kind of the wrong part, right? That's the part that's wrong. Because yeah, you could say, okay, there's a protocol in place you're meant to follow. That's simply it. And it really, beyond that then doesn't become a black and white thing. That's more
That's
like
what police
versus media. Because like with most of the things they're doing it to create pressure from above, pressure from below, so they can or even better yet, just go off, from a certain specific angle concerning like using force.
Yeah. Because that was when it happened, when he got arrested for it. One is fucking weird that there was a media blackout doing, him being a known criminal and having cases and project like that's fucking just weird to happen.
I haven't heard them, but I just know of what they're about,
Yes,
and I know that it's not far-fetched.
It's like they have video evidence and like cases against him. So it was like knowing that, them just trying to make it like we're not gonna have that, and then making a thing of the gun police excessive force, and the fact that all the gun police went on strike as soon as he got arrested, then makes it like, okay, this is gonna be a thing. They're probably gonna pass police powers, laws, or something off the back of it.
Because I hear what people say, like, okay, but I'm not gonna lie, like, listen, a man's got I had a strap, and I know the guy, his car got involved in certain things before. And he's ramming up his car.
Bro,
It's
the day before as well. It wasn't even like it was a week or whatever. It was like the day before. You're like, you could still be him.
And that's even the same thing with the whole, because people talk about the King Von situation. One day. I say, look, like, listen, if I know someone's so
Bro, if you're strapped up,
there's certain people like, if I know you're of a certain ilk, you do certain things. My mindset isn't like, I'm gonna train you now. Woman just leaned up on me. I told her to sleep, I'm not leaning on me. Like, I know that's a great level of aggression.
That a justifiable level.
Yeah. Now, if I know someone runs around and they got a hot gun or a hot, they let their thing go, bro, like, there's a certain kind of mind, there's a certain way I need to deal with it. Certain kind of contingency plan I have to put in place. So, these are things, where it is. All that's we're in the end, that's what you need to know. We're in the time of the end. Most of these things are distractions. Like you can see right now, North Korea, Russia, lifting up. You got you had the thing happening in Spain, the floods in Spain. Yeah. You had all these different things happening around the world. You can't see what kind of time we're in. Like, you don't get caught up with holidays and saving up money and how you're gonna retire, things you're gonna do. The world that you see today is not gonna be the world you're gonna see tomorrow. There's certain things being put in place that are going to manifest over time, and they're going to be, a reason as to why the world you're going to live in is going to be unrecognizable to the one you know. Just like how I remember, going to pay out, calling on the house, dial up AOL, fucking internet, old computers, top of the box, Opus, fucking Disney movies. Action movie, that shit don't matter. It don't exist on those Schwarzenegger movies. There's some slides, Sylvester Stallone, whatever, and that fucking hell. Like now, them lot all come together to make one movie that is relevant to the level of what it was back in the day.
And that's 40 plus people going to see it. Yeah. Is what, like, that's the whole aspect of it. But that's why I read this. Habakkuk 2 and 3. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry.
Right, so it's a sign that set in stone. It's going to come to pass regardless of how you feel about it. That's why all the different things you see happen, they can only be allotted to the time of the end. Alright? That's where it is now compared to what it used to be, night and day. Because you ain't from London, or you just moved down to London, or certain things like that, you don't really understand how London's being gutted. It's not as easily as it once was. It's a shadow of things that once were.
And that's even dealing with like hotspots and hubs. Yes. When you go outside of those,
Shoreditch. No, I hate to say it like that. Well, we went out the other day, and it was like the spirit of it is just fucking completely not the same, man. And even they're saying that one show, they're saying what's happening now. And the guy was saying like they knew it was gonna happen. I think so.
Bro, should reaching out their hands for them to hold it, then they hold hands, and then they like fucking fall over because of the flash. Well, I was like, why would you hold hands? It's like, especially on fucking electric bikes. Isn't it? I was like, what? I was like, first of all, the second someone's coming against, you're gonna have to stop them.
That shows you all that imaginary lovey-dovey shit.
I can show you the world. Well, you just saying the fucking thingy. What do you call it? The Disney movie spirit is done.
Yeah. I can show you the world.
It's done. That's what it's
But nah, like you were saying that basically the shortage now. So what happened is because it's become a cool spot, people want to live there. Now they're trying to bring in like they're trying to shut down all the blocks and make it to a residential area. like make it into like a daytime kind of spot. So that just shows you like, yo, that place wasn't built off that.
Housing's good money now. Housing's way better money than a fucking club.
And really, it's good money for the banks, not for the landlords. If you're a landlord right now, you're fucked. You are pissed. Differently. It looked like a good
It was
way
a
to make money.
good run.
Yeah, hell of a run.
Now you got to give it the mortgage rate going up was probably the biggest kind of impact on that. And they've not really until the mortgage rates went up, that's really when people started getting hit. Because that was when everyone was lamenting. Because in everything's inflated, it's cost of living as well. But then the mortgage rates going up, then that's something you can't even, you got to plan everything else around it. So I'll read this. So 2 Thessalonians 2:4 says, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called the Most High, or that is worshiped, so that he, as the Most High, sitteth in the temple of the Most High, showing himself that he is God. Remember ye not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things, and now ye know that what withholdeth, that he might be revealed in his time. For the mystery of iniquity doth already work, only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way. And yeah, the mystery of iniquity was, known about that. Well, it wasn't known of back then. He's been doing his work as a Roman, and now he's come back in this time as well. Where it's all these plans and schemes over time, these things are towards an end goal. And that's really about what him deifying himself. That's really why you have power being centralized within, monetarily. You're talking about the small businesses getting squeezed. That's been happening, like, really turned up since the pandemic. The pandemic was the main kind of means by which, people get decimated. Remember, I think it was New York where they said going into the lockdown, there were places where they were just like, fuck this, we're staying open. And you had the police coming in and shutting the shit down.
No, I don't believe it.
That was the same thing over here as well. You had people that would just keep functioning, but they got to the point where it's like,
I don't believe it.
they're getting grabbed up, or people trying to have house parties, people are coming in there getting thrown in jail. These are, that basically set, established a level of power they could exercise going forward. And it kind of laid groundwork. And, what's the end goal? What's the end result of what's being desired? Having everyone receive that mark. That's really where it goes down. They want everyone, within the system, basically playing ball. And that's where the mindsets of most people is going to go. Most people are going to play ball. Most people are going to be like, well, and then they'll kind of do what they need to do, to basically maintain their place within this kingdom. It says, verse 8, and then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy him with the brightness of his coming. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all powers and signs and lying wonders, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. Yeah, him whose coming is after. No. Him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with what? With all power and signs and lying wonders. And that's a big aspect of why people are born to the current system. We've read it earlier about the who's able to make war with a beast. That's a big aspect. People look at the military might of the system, they think like, you know, how can there even be anything that can come after this? But then also the signs and lying wonders, that ties into the MOTP. A lot of these aspects of this technology is being marketed as like, oh, you know, you lose your limbs, you're going to be able to use this. You might not be able to talk or whatever, then it will give you some kind of, you know, means of expressing yourself. It's been presented as a miracle, likened onto, you know, the miracles recorded in the scriptures, where they're saying, you know, the dumb can talk again, the blind can see, all these different things. But then, you know, what's the reality of it? It's a lying one. It's basically being done as a form of deceit to draw you into, you know, essentially a scheme, ploy.
It's just like Pharaoh and his priests. You know, that was like Moses was trying to strength, he had the ability. But I said, look, you can do that too. You know, it was a sign to make the people believe in, you know, Pharaoh. They got to a point where they couldn't keep up. And that's what only is going to happen right, you know, with the time we're in. Right now, people believe they're in a good deal. Right? They think they got a fair shake as far as what's been, you know, bestowed onto them. But they're going to find out that they've really been handling a bad deal. And that's going to come to fruition with the MOTP. When that shit happens, then they're really going to understand, like, wow, you fucked up believing this now. Because you're going to have you know, it's like Revelation 16, about the pure sword. That's why I said sword. Yeah, incurable sword or something like that. They're going to have a lot of, you know, things are going to happen. The food ain't going to be food no more. There's going to be a lot of things. Even right now, you're going to have a farmer strike, they're saying soon as well, where the farmers are going to come and, you know, spray manure. Like, you got a lot of shit going on because they're trying to get rid of the system in place and usher in that, you know, robotic system of we control everything. If you want this, that, and the other, you got to come to us. And coming to us won't mean, okay, we're going to give you this, you're coming to us, we're going to do this for them, we're going to like it. As a one code, we hold up, you have to. That's where it's the key aspect of you be happy, isn't it? You're meant to take and receive anything and then just be content. Because that's what the term ignorance is bliss. That's kind of the mindset the rails is kind of running. And the thing is that works. You know, you can go back to the Matrix, that was what, 1999? Where it was sci-fi. Yeah, turn of the century, saying, you know, but after all this, you know, I realized ignorance is bliss. Man was having a stake of like, I know it's not real, but I'd rather have this. And that's the mindset of most people in the world. You give them a harsh reality, or a not quite, you know, an illusion of some form of you know, bliss. People will latch onto that. And that's the thing is, because within Esau's system, even presently, all the promises that the system makes, none of those are being fulfilled. There was a young white male in this society, right? You are voting conservative, and now it means you're voting for a black woman, man. That's I don't know, if you're within Esau's system, that's a supreme L, bro. Now, a lot of them feel so because they've grown with a certain mindset as far as white and right. We're the antithesis, we're the people of wisdom.
Yeah. That's all with it. That's the thing is what they call it, American exceptionalism.
Yeah.
That's the term for the American branch of it. But those are things that, you know, people. That's why it's like, you know, someone will be living in squalor in you know, a trailer, and then even then they will still have a sense of entitlement. So I live in this country, I deserve X, Y, Z.
They're the worst, man, because they got nothing to offer. They're useless eaters, but they feel like they should have. Yeah. But they feel like they should have something. Your own don't even fuck with you, man. They look down.
They don't want, yeah, they don't want
They look at you like freeloaders. Like, why are you here? We should just get rid of them.
That's why I saw it when I was 15. That's why I come out of the track. Then I said afterwards, like, maybe it's cooler or colder from the jacket. But yeah, it could be that. Yeah. So yeah, leave it there. Say all praises to Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushua, Hashem, Baruch Kadash. God want us to all the apostles, great millstone. Shalom to the hopeful elect. Shalom.